This week on the podcast, we're joined by Nab Mctackle, who tells us why you should be playing Marauders. After that, we are talking about the new cloud gaming devices coming from Logitech and Razer. And that's it. It might be a short one, but that doesn't mean we hit any less good. Roll the intro.
It's not about the size, it's how you use it.
Size does not matter. Right now.
We couldn't understand a word you were saying, by the way.
There was
Yeah, that's
nothing
good.
there that I could understand.
It was
That's good.
just high-pitched auto-tune.
Yeah.
Horrible. That was probably
what
the
you
worst
mean
intro.
is pop music.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Wow.
Let me wet my whistle. That took a lot out of me.
As I say, yeah, that is Mendacii definitely like being Reddit metalhead right there. Jesus. Hello and welcome to Next to Nothing, a podcast for gamers on a budget. I am your host, Danny K. With me, as always, the wonderful, the beautiful, the Mr. Green Elite. Green, how are you doing today?
I am doing pretty good. I cannot complain. I meal prep today. Don't have my containers. My containers will be here in just a moment. Because I Amazon. But yeah, doing pretty good.
Hell yeah. We're also joined by the spooky and the ukuli, the Mendacii. How you doing, Mendacii?
Good, man. Got lots of spook in my engine this week. We caught a Werewolf by Night, which was as good as I hoped it would be. Really, really fun time. And then just before we did our sound check, I caught the first episode of Chainsaw Man, which dropped today on Crunchyroll. And man, it is so damn good. Mark my words, it's the next big anime that's coming out. And of course, it's done by Mappa. So yeah, it's a given.
So what I'm hearing...
Mappa's killing it right now.
Oh, hard.
So what I'm hearing is even though that you wanted Chainsaw Man, I'm going to have to wait longer for Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah. I'm going to assume Jujutsu Kaisen probably in first quarter of 2023. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, just sate yourself with Chainsaw Man until then. For sure.
Download the Viz app on your phone and read the manga.
Could do that.
No. I don't like reading. I'm a gamer. Damn it. We're also joined by Nab Mctackle. Nab.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. How's it going, guys?
It is going fantastic. Nab, for those who have not met you yet, who are you? What do you do? And where can people find you?
Hey, so I currently stream a lot of Stalker Anomaly and other survival games. Sometimes you'll catch me playing Hunt and currently Marauders as well. You can find me at Twitch TV /Nab_Mctackle. I don't have too many other social medias. I'm kind of under a rock on those, but still out here in the Stalker Anomaly scene. So,
hell yeah,
good stuff, man. Not enough love for Stalker, in my opinion.
Dude, it is one of the best universes. I love it so much.
Excellent. Now, it looks like one of our hosts just walked off, so I'm assuming he is getting his package. Do we want to wait awkwardly waiting for him? Or do we want to just get right into
That would be hilarious. Yeah. It's like, yeah, he put the show on pause, actually. Sorry about that. I just love, like, there was no warning. He just, like, ran away. Like, nah, I'm not here for this.
The funny thing is that he can hear us, too.
Yeah. And I mean, like, to be honest, he did say he didn't like it. But Nab, you had a different experience, didn't you?
Well, actually,
what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Marauder?
1 second. We're putting our horses before our carts here. We need to talk about the question of the week.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
of course.
So,
Of course.
How could we forget?
There has been a lot of controversy lately about this, and so we want to talk about this. What cheating prevention measures should be put in place for free-to-play games if a phone number is not okay? Right? So kind of like a little bit of background here. Blizzard Activision, for 2 of their upcoming releases, have floated the idea that you will need to 2-factor authenticate your account with a phone number. And if you are caught cheating, well, guess what? Your phone number is banned. Can't sign up for another account or buy the game or, whatever with that same phone number.
And it has to be a contract phone number.
Yeah, no
Yes.
cricket here. No jitterbug.
Right, which actually for me would put me out of most games if that was the standard, because I use Total Wireless. Um, but yeah, uh, that was going to be instituted for Overwatch 2. They walked it back, but it sounds like they're going to institute it for uh, Modern Warfare 2. Excuse me. And probably the Warzone 2 as well. Um, so yeah, what do you guys think? And let us know in the comments or live chat. Or you can tweet at us. Greenlee, hit him with that tweeter. With that tweeter.
At next to nothing PC.
Yes. And then okay, so let's like just go around the horn real quick. Like, what would be your guys' preferred anti-cheat method? We'll start with Nab, because this is your question.
Oh no. Okay. Well, I actually don't mind the phone number a horrible amount. My biggest issue with the phone number is twofold. The first, your current situation leaves you in, where you, a perfectly normal customer, are directly infringed by the mere fact that you use a prepaid phone. That should never happen. Prepaid phones should be fine. This should simply exist, in my opinion, as just another barrier, because people that hack are less willing to jump over large amounts of barriers to get to another account, in my opinion. As far as like actual solutions, I couldn't tell you, man. There's it's really hard. People always come up with like hardware IDs, get a work around it. You have IP bans. They get a workaround for it. So I'm not too sure. I think the phone number wouldn't be so bad if I could make sure that my information would never be sold. Right, that's my biggest issue. I don't like giving out my info just for it to get sold, and I get a text later on spamming me for something. And then I don't want like a prepaid phone to be like, people shouldn't be punished for their lifestyle, you know?
Yeah, especially because like, you know, as like a budget focused show, a lot of prepaid services are a lot more cost effective for people than contracts are. Especially if you're someone who buys your phone outright. If you're not getting locked into a contract to subsidize your phone, you know, then a lot of times you're in a better deal if you just buy your phone outright and then, you know, swap your sims over. But Green, what would you say?
I would have to agree. I think the cell phone idea, like the cell phone number, would be a good idea if, like, yeah, as long as they don't bar people who are using prepaid plans. I mean, one of my favorite ways that they've instituted a protection against cheaters was Battlefield 3 and 4 had, you know, admins and player owned servers where you could actually ban people yourself versus like waiting on the company or the devs or the actual game itself to ban people, which I thought was really interesting. But I think that time has gone past. There's like no game that actually does player owned servers anymore. So, but as Nab said, people are very innovative, I should say. And there will always be a workaround. It's when games don't actually institute a actual anti-cheat to begin with that really pisses me off. Warzone, original Warzone, stuff like that. That because like Escape from Tarkov is a big example of like a company doing it wrong, because they'll do a wave of bans off of reports and stuff like that, and then the next day they will put the game up for sale, so that way people who got banned for cheating can just buy the game again and cheat again. So it's shit like that just frustrates me.
Yeah. Mendacii, how about you?
Pretty simply put, yeah, agree with these two. It really shouldn't be limited to just contract phones. A lot of people out there are using things like Mint Mobile these days, you know, to get away from contracts. These things are really expensive up front as well as over time. So yeah, it's not great. And then when you look at like DRM, you know, whether you're talking about like easy anti-cheat or de novo, things that, you know, are like kernel processes that really just get into the bones of your system to make sure you're not cheating, or like make the game run like shit. You know, like these aren't necessarily answers, but they are like band-aids, you know, to some of these games. I'm not entirely certain exactly what a good solution would be. It's probably just like you're gonna have to take the bitter pill. But yeah, just so crappy. But yeah.
Yeah. The only solution I can think of is to just make cheaters' lives really bad.
Yeah.
Like, make them make it so they can't shoot. Like, once some sort of cheating is detected, make that account basically useless. You know, make it so that
Hmm.
account can't actually enter games. Make it so that account, but don't like outright ban them, right?
Yeah.
Make them have to realize it over time. That's the only solution I can really think of, because we can't I have a hard time wanting to sacrifice my privacy and security to companies, providing a phone number to a company. Like that just seems like an extra thing that I shouldn't have to do for a company. I shouldn't have to let some invasive uh anti-cheat software that probably has links to Tencent root around in all of my programs, in all my files. You know, there's a lot of things I would, not, just so I can enjoy a game, for an issue that really is more on the dev side than it is for us. The devs.
So what you're saying is that you would not sacrifice liberty for security?
Uh, no,
What?
no step on Sneck.
No step on Snick. But yeah, that's something that actually I wasn't there a game not too long ago that kind of shadow banned cheaters, or maybe it was just like a pipe dream that I had, where you would just essentially like there would be longer times for you to actually get into a game instead of banning you. You know, it's like, oh yeah, you got to wait 12 minutes to get into a game, and then when you finally get in, everyone has aim bots.
Warzone
Like,
was doing that.
okay.
I know they did that in Fall Guys too. But that kind of bit them in the ass, because then it came out with a video. It's like everybody's cheating. Like there was no official statement or anything, right? So one guy
Right.
acts like he's not cheating, and 10 other people fly hack forward. It looks really bad when that video hits the top of your subreddit.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Woof.
I think another big thing is I feel like more game devs should go after the cheat developers themselves.
Yeah, like a lot of these cheat clients, they like the biggest cheaters are doing it for money, right? Like well, I feel like a large portion of cheaters, I don't have numbers on any of this, but I feel like a large portion of cheaters are people that pay money to hack and are just kids trying to have fun, or like even adults trying to have fun, and they have shitty morals, right? And they don't care about shitting on other people in a game. But there is also a percentage of cheaters, right, that are just financially motivated, right? Like they're selling money in Tarkov, they're selling carries, or they're doing whatever, right? Like you can get rid of a large portion of hacking if you go for those people that are selling the hacks to like the little script kiddies, right? Like there should be a lot more investment and resources towards taking these people down, because if they can't profit, they're not going to be giving out these hacks just to give them out. Like no one's
Oh
going to
yeah.
spend time coding and developing just to destroy a game, right? Like maybe if they're that like, but if they're not profiting, right, from selling the hacks to these low level hackers, you've taken out a large percentage of the hacking base.
Yeah.
Agreed. That's a really fine point.
If I can make listening suggestion for our audience, there was a Darknet Diaries episode not too long ago about game hackers and their whole business model and shtick, which was fairly interesting, and I highly recommend. But that's our conversation. Let us know what you guys think about our question of the week this week, like what your solutions are. Let us know in the YouTube comments and, of course, tweet at us. But let's talk about Marauders. Let's talk about Marauders, which I feel like this conversation here today, we're either going to walk away with the conclusion that Marauders is the best extraction shooter ever, or it is the worst first-person shooter ever. And I'm very curious to see where this conversation goes. But now I will let you talk about Marauders here in a second. I have a little bit of information for folks here first. Marauders is a looter shooter from Small Impact Games and Team 17. It's for Windows PC and is available on Steam for $30. I haven't seen it on any other marketplace. Have you guys?
It was
No.
originally on Fig way back when, which is like a small indie kickstarting game funding as a site. But they switched developers to, or producers rather, to Steam once they got a little bit bigger.
Gotcha. I do have some specs here if you are interested in playing the game after this conversation. Windows 10 64-bit, Intel Core i5 6600, and AMD Ryzen 3 1300X for your processors. Those are your minimum processors. If you're looking at your graphics card, you need a GeForce GTX 960 with 4 gigs of RAM or an AMD R9 380 4 gigs of RAM. 12 gigs of RAM in your motherboard there, and 10 gigs of hard drive space available. You also need a broadband internet connection, and they do have a note on Steam saying that that these minimum specifications can change as development continues. So bear that in mind. If you are running on an older PC, it's possible that this game might outpace your PC. But Nab, tell us about Marauders. What is the premise of the game, and like what is like the core thing that you'll be doing in this game?
Awesome. So Marauders, as like you said, is a looter shooter, right? Ultimately, you're queuing up for a raid, just like Tarkov or any other extraction shooter. Queuing up for that raid, going into the raid, ideally accomplishing something where you kill or find loot, and then extracting before the end of the raid timer, right? You have an outside of raid stash, which you can use to gear up your character, and then you continue that loop over and over where you go back into those raids. Sorry. As far as like what I think makes Marauders different is it has some huge shakeups on the genre, mostly the space fighting. In Tarkov, for example, just as Tarkov is one of the first ones on the scene, I'll probably be making a lot of comparisons to it. But different than Tarkov is that this Marauders has two different phases. You have your spaceship phase, where you are out literally flying in your spaceship, or at least you are a occupant of that. If you're not flying, maybe you're repairing or you're part of the crew. If you queued up with some friends, right? And you guys are heading towards a POI. You could get into spaceship fights, and you could die in a spaceship fight before you even get in to a gunfight with anybody, right? Which is hugely different than Tarkov. From there, you have the chance to breach pod and try and hijack other players' ships, or you can go into the points of interest themselves and try and extract loot from those. So I think it has a huge shakeup on that, just by the fact of the ships alone, right? You have all of that pre-ship combat. You have the ability to see a lot more of what's going on in the in the raid. But
Gotcha.
sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. So, how would you, for anyone who's just listening to this conversation, how would you describe the aesthetics of Marauders?
So Marauders is going for a diesel punk theme. You'll see that the theme of the game is that, or sorry, the lore of the game is that in 1930s there was some sort of space race, and technology is somewhat halted then. So you'll see the ships and space technology, but you'll still see some of the older guns like the Thompson coming in, the PPSH coming in, SVT, older guns compared to like more of the sci-fi guns that you would see with this type of genre, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot more low tech.
Yeah, it's got a very interesting um kind of like you said, like turn of the century, 20s, 30s, industrial aesthetic with um a lot of steel, rusty steel and grates, and like low light incandescent bulbs, stuff like that. um yeah, so
So
with
overall, though, on the graphics, it definitely leaves you wanting in some areas, right? You can see even from the gameplay we see here, it's definitely not anything like eye candy, right? If you look, we were talking about Chatterline earlier before the podcast started, and you can see just the huge amount of difference in how beautiful a game like that is compared to, like, me as somebody who enjoys Marauders, I would not, if graphics are a huge important key to you, this probably wouldn't be your game.
yeah
It certainly looks dated because it's just I would say it's definitely a work in progress, though. When this I want to say about a year ago, they didn't have any modeling textures or anything. Most things looked like the walls had just like looked like graph paper because it was completely unmodeled. So it has significantly improved since I've seen development start. And like you said, like they're saying, they're planning for it to get better. Currently, it only requires a 960, but they're planning to upgrade that, right? So we'll see how far the graphics get. But right now, definitely, just to be completely unbiased, it looks like shit.
Full stop.
I think that's my
there's no
biggest
other way to.
my biggest gripe. I've played this for 3 hours total, and I think my biggest gripe is that it's aesthetically very unpleasing to me. Like just the way like especially when you have a pistol in your hand, like the modeling of your arm and the hand and the gun, and then that sway, and then when I launched the game, the stock motion blur is heavy.
Horrendous. Yes. I don't know why
Heavy
games start
bad.
with a motion blur on. I
Uh,
do not understand.
this is motion blur to the max. Like
Ugh.
you walk and there's fucking motion blur. Like it's horrendous. I immediately had to turn that off. 'Cause it was like really hard on the eyes.
Oh yeah.
That's how hard the motion blur was.
There's definitely a lot of room for optical improvement here. No doubt about that. But I think what makes Marauders good are just its shakeups on the genre. Like optics aside, right? Inside of Raid, there's a lot of really cool aspects about it that I enjoy. Right? There is two different ways to exit a raid, or one way to enter a POI, for example, and two different ways to exit. When you enter a POI, you have to be in a ship. This means that you cannot be in a breach pod, for example. You can't just get into a drop pod and like drop pod over to the POI. You need to be in your ship until you make it to the POI. I think this makes it a lot more fun, makes it so you can't just evade ship combat entirely. And it makes it so some of the really cool ships there have some chance to shine, right? I've been taken out before I can even get to the POIs just by someone who had like a really cool, insane ship. They hit me with I think a nuke or something. It immediately destroyed my ship. And I had to drop pod off. I had the option. I could go try and board them, hijack them, and have it duke it out with them, try and steal their ship, or I can just try and reset, right? I apologize. I got a little bit on a tangent there, but
Tangents are good.
just that whole shakeup on the genre where you could not even make it into the raid, and instead you can try and gain just like space superiority. I think is like a huge fun shakeup there. And if you're looking for space combat, there's no reason that you even have to go into the raid. You could, if you were like looking at yourself as a pilot, you could go in with a ship that you start with for free and try and have fun space battles within here. And like, if you win against enemy pilots, you could steal their ship, right? Well, there's a lot of fun aspects on that, which takes it to more than just like walk into the raid, go hit the most common loot spots, and then extract.
Mm.
I think another huge thing is like they have like vaults and the lockpick rooms. I think the lockpicks are a really fun shakeup on like keys, for example. If anybody has experience with Tarkov, they know that like key rooms are a huge thing, marked keys. as well as like maybe just in like reserve or otherwise, just all the correct keys, right? They've kind of solved this by making all of the keys consumable in lockpicks. But then also, rather than having like set keys, they also have like huge things called like the blowtorch. You can like crack your way into vaults, which feels amazing. You're getting huge amounts of loot. It's like a huge risk reward for bringing a blowtorch in versus just going in without it, right? Like if there's been plenty of times where we've cleared the raid, but we didn't have a blowtorch, so there's a vault sitting there untouched, and that honestly feels like a really fun shakeup compared to like how mechanically solved Tarkov felt. Where it's just here's my spawn, the person to my left, if I hold this angle, I can kill them, and then I have the correct dorm spawn. I'm here, and there's no one else that can beat me to it, and I just compared to all of that nonsense, it felt like a really fun, fresh shakeup on the genre if you can get over the looks. Right.
Yeah.
So even there, he just found a blowtorch on the video gameplay. I don't know if he'll crack a vault with it, but that's huge, right? That's like a huge thing in his hand, and now see if he could crack that vault. He's got access to some of the best gear in the game.
Yeah. So I'm curious, with this game being, early access, and so new, how does it actually feel to play? Do the guns feel correct? How does combat shake out in terms of favor the shooter, and how's the sound design and stuff? When you're actually in the game, does it feel good? Does it feel good to play this game?
Yes and no. I feel like there's a lot to be desired. To be just completely unbiased, there's times where it feels very dated for a in progress game like this. The way that your health is just a static percentage versus being like body part based or anything. The way that just the gunplay can feel a little bit dated as well. It's a hard one to directly answer on how it can feel dated, right? But for example, if you were to shoot someone in Tarkov, right? If you lean peek and you see them holding their arms in front of their head, you feel like if you were to shoot them in the arms, that would be a noticeably different shot than shooting them in the head. It kind of lacks that depth, right? Like the engine doesn't feel like it's as precise or as just juicy. I don't know how else to put it, right? Like the models don't really feel like they're fleshed out in a way where shooting someone kind of gives that same oomph. Like when you put a scav down in Tarkov, like it feels good to shoot him. It feels like his model, like shooting him in the head, it feels good. I don't know how to put it other than that. I don't get that feeling from Marauders, right?
I like juicy. We're gonna keep it a juicy.
That doesn't sound psychopathic at all.
So it leaves, but I think for that end, I think it ties more into the visual aesthetics of it than it does the gameplay. It doesn't work out to be too much worse. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot to be desired on just like the base combat and stuff, but it's a work in progress. So
yeah. On that note, actually, if I could step in and step on Danny's toes a little bit, so I went ahead and did some digging on the developers, Small Impact Games. Small Impact Games gets its name from two of the three people that work there. Two brothers, Mitchell Small and Cameron Small. And then their third one, James Robotham. It literally is Robotham. Anyway, between the three of them, they have around 20 years of combined experience in the industry, working for prestigious companies such as Codemasters, Headstrong Games, Electronic Arts, and Rock City Studios, launching games on iOS, Xbox One, PC, PS4, Steam, and early access. So many different downloads, yada, yada, yada. The one thing that I'm really kind of seeing here is that obviously you have a 3-person team. One person is programming and concept art. Another one does the animation, UI, and design. The other one picks up character art, VFX, and design. So obviously pretty damn good for like a 3-person team, especially with like 20 some ish years split between 3 people. you figure like what would that be on average, like round
7 years
about
each.
round about 7 years a piece. So like they obviously like soaked up some of the stuff that they've been doing, and then obviously published by the label also known as Team 17, which does a whole bunch of indie games and everything like that. um yeah, it's kind of interesting. They've done a lot of different games. They all relatively look like they've had about the same amount of work done on them. So it's one of those things that I want to nitpick though. Like obviously you got to sell yourself, but here's what they say about Marauders on their site: cutting edge visuals that deliver on high marketability. The games market is more competitive than ever, and the bar has never been higher. Let us offer affordable, eye-watering content built with efficient pipelines to ensure the budget is met without sacrificing quality. Marauder is set out to grasp a mainstream visual appeal with elements of hardcore mechanics to provide heart-pumping gameplay and endless replayability. Is this something you would like us to create for you? So like what I'm trying to get at here is it sounds like Small Impact is three homies that know enough between the three of them that they can make a competent game. It might not be like the best or most fun one that you've played, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to create projects, have them finished and in a playable state, and be able to say, hey, look at these people who are checking out our games, how many sales we have, you should hire us for your gaming company. So I think that it's not necessarily like three dudes that are like, yeah, dude, Small Impact Games is going places. They're like, Small Impact Games is our launching pad.
Interesting. That definitely kind of puts the idea of the longevity of the game in a different perspective as well. Which I kind of want to ask here real quick. Like, there's no is there an additional monetization scheme outside of just the $30 purchase price?
Not that I'm aware of. They don't have any sort of paid cosmetics. They don't have any paid gameplay changes or anything like that.
Gotcha.
Everything is entirely attainable in game. Minus there is a like before even the Steam, they have like a backer like thing, just a special thanks to their backers or whatever. But other than that, like that's not even for sale or anything. It's just like a backer reward.
Gotcha.
But there's nothing that you could physically purchase to change your gameplay.
Mm-hmm. So, Green, I know you have a lot of opinions. I want to get to your opinions here real quick before we kind of wrap up this conversation. But
Yeah.
you I have kind of felt the physical biting of the tongue here. So go on ahead.
Well, so just completely opinion based. On my end, I've only have 3 hours into the game, a little under 3 hours in the game. I bought it yesterday, downloaded it, played it last night, and early this morning. The concept and like the idea was pretty easy for me to pick up since I've played extract shooters before, like Hunt and Tarkov. I did like the space combat aspect. Everyone spawns at like one corner of the map essentially in their spaceship. That was great. Once I actually got to the POI, that's when it felt pretty funky to me. In terms of, especially in terms of like the actual visual. I had to turn off that motion blur. It was horrible, awful, completely awful. The guns felt pretty good. There are like raiders. There's not like there's players that can be in the POI as well. As well as AI. So that was a pretty fun mix. Very reminiscent of Tarkov with scavs. I I don't want to say I hate this game because I only have 3 hours into it. But there's just something that feels lacking with it. Especially when it comes to like the gameplay loop. I haven't gotten to the point where like I busted into a vault yet or anything like that. And I've only played solo, so this is more of an on me kind of thing. But there's just something about the mix of the visual versus like the gameplay loop that just was lacking. I might not be the only one. I may be the only person who feels it this way, but I definitely need to get into a group to play this game. Just so that way I can get like that full experience. Like I find the combat is relatively easy in terms of like killing people. The time to kill is pretty decent. Especially with like the Uzi or like the SV rifle, stuff like that. Um this game kind of handles like Tarkov, where it doesn't like give you any training wheels. It just gives you essentially an intro video, a YouTube intro video from, I can't remember, who was it?
Psycho Ghost,
Nab?
I think.
Yes, Psycho Ghost. That's right. Where it's like, this is how you play Marauders, and then that's it. So, um, it, I'm always an advocate for tutorials in games, especially when they're like those hardcore games. But um, uh, I would say the video was pretty sufficient. I also watched people play the beta, so I feel like this game I need more time with it, and also the devs need more time to put more stuff into it. Right, as I said, right now it feels like there's something missing, and I can't really put my finger on what it is that is missing itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I feel like it's that juice I was talking about. Like when you
Mhm.
shoot someone, it doesn't really feel like when you put a like it doesn't matter what gun you have. In Tarkov, it feel like the immersion is there. When you
Mhm.
put your gun up to your eyes, you aim down sight and you fucking shoot somebody. It feels like you shot that guy. And
Yeah.
this one, it doesn't. It's missing the juiciness of it. Like you can pull up your gun, you can full auto somebody. They're dead on the floor there, but it didn't feel the same.
Yeah, it's like one match it was the prison match, the prison POI, and like I mowed down 10 prisoners who were running at me with knives and clubs and shit, and it's like I felt nothing. I felt absolutely nothing, and I damn prisoners need to be put down. God damn it!
The out of context. I'm clipping that out of context.
I felt nothing.
Oh god.
He's a goddamn sociopath. We finally
I
found
just
out. He
I just
finally said it.
relax. I just want to take some pictures.
Okay. Okay, guy. Back into the cage.
Anyways,
No,
continue.
I don't know. That's pretty much it for me. Like I just feel like there's some it needs a little bit more razzle dazzle.
I was definitely surprised when I saw them. Like I want to say they put it out for Steam Early Access, like what, like 4 months ago now or so. Maybe
Yeah, I
before
think
that,
so.
like 4 or 5 months ago. And I was definitely really surprised when they put that out. It definitely has a new sheen on it since they had a build on Discord. But man, more development time, more time in the oven is what this game needs, because I've seen how far it's come. They had a no stream disclaimer or whatever, so you don't really have any videos too much of what it looked like back then. But how far it's come, it definitely is making a huge amount of progress. But where it is right now, you could definitely be left where like green is, where it's not satisfying to kill someone. And if it's not satisfying to kill someone, then the gameplay loop kind of falls apart, right? Um,
Yeah. So that kind of brings me to the last question I really have about this game, which is it worth buying now? Is it worth waiting for a sale, or maybe waiting for another update? Or is it worth waiting for it to come to a service like Game Pass? Like, for you, Nab, what would you say to people who are interested in this game? Buy now, wait for a sale, wait for an update, or wait for it to come to a service?
I highly doubt it'll ever come to a service like live service, right? Like Xbox Game Pass, just from the shakeout of the small indie company there and what type of game it is, right? But if it was coming down to buying full price now or versus on sale later, you would have to ask yourself the question of what type of player base am I wanting to play against? And like right now is probably the largest player base it's going to have for a while before it starts to slowly dwindle. If you're looking, if when you get it on sale, if it goes on sale, it's probably the result of a declining player base, in my opinion. If you're looking to simply have fun with like a new style of extraction shooter, $30 is a lot to ask for like kind of like a frugal podcast. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's worth it for where the game states is right now. Later on would probably be better, to be completely honest. But it's still, I'm still enjoying it right now. I still play it. I was playing it just before, so could go either way, I guess.
Okay.
My opinion.
Mhm.
I am sad that I paid $30 for this game.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I would have been more content if it was like $20. Like
$10
there was
too much.
I think it was like I would say like an hour into the game, I genuinely considered doing a refund. Just because like it just didn't feel crispy. I don't know. There was just something about it, and like I had to tell myself like it just came out on early access. They had that beta a while ago. This game is still rolling out. That's like what stopped me from like requesting the refund. So yeah, I'm hoping to see more from this that will make it feel like it's worth like 100% worth the $30. Just right now for me, it doesn't feel like it's worth $30.
Do you think that your opinion would have changed if you had played it with a group of friends and had like not even people that knew what they were doing, right? But like say it was just you, Baz, and Mac. Something like that. You guys were just. Do you think it would have been different?
Probably. I probably would have had more fun.
Okay.
So
It would have
as
been
I said,
easier to joke off like the
the motion blur and
Yeah.
the arm
like-
flailing. Like you hold the pistol like a foot off of center mass, and you're just like when you're running. It's silly. So yeah, as I said, like this is all completely personal opinion based on a
Okay.
solo experience.
Mhm.
I think definitely if you are going to buy it now, you should be prepared for a buggy experience. You should be prepared for like a really early access experience. And you should be prepared to like it's a small development team, right? You're looking at a time frame of like a year from now the game is a lot significantly better, but it's definitely not happening next week, right?
Yeah.
The game will always be available and there probably will be a sale, right? So there's no harm in waiting if you're budget minded at all.
Excellent. Well, from that, if you're gonna wait for it, maybe add it to your Steam account, access it on GeForce Now, and play it on your brand new Logitech Razer Edge device thingy. Okay. So yeah.
Right.
Go on.
Yeah, so Stadia may be dead, but game streaming doesn't seem to be, and companies are trying to capture the handheld gamers as fast as they can with with a brand new product class that has almost sprung up overnight. Just recently, Logitech confirmed that they would be releasing their first Android-based cloud streaming handheld called the G Cloud, not to be confused for the thing that most men can't find. But not to be outdone, Razer has announced that the Razer Edge 5G in partnership with Verizon is coming as well. So what are these devices and what can we expect from them? Right? I think that's a big question that a lot of people will probably want to have answered. So let's start with the Logitech G Cloud first. It will
Pause.
be... Yes.
Get out of here with that stupid joke.
Oh,
Continue.
yes. So yeah, G Cloud. It's going to be a similar form factor to the Switch and or Stream Deck, right? So you can kind of imagine that type of device in your hand. It's going to be equipped with a Qualcomm Snapdragon 720G, which is apparently very similar to what is in the Google Pixel 5a, according to Ars Technica. It's going to come with a 7-inch 60Hz Full HD LCD screen. It's going to have 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of onboard storage, and a micro SD slot, so that you can do some on-device gaming. It's going to have a USB-C port for charging, stereo speakers, 3.5mm headphone jack, so it's already got a leg up on iPhones. And unfortunately, there will not be video out support. So you can't dock it or, display it on a larger screen or anything like that. According to Logitech, you should be able to play games from Xbox, GeForce Now, and Steam Link, which is kind of interesting because they snubbed Luna. But in theory, you should be able to access Luna there, which is Amazon's cloud gaming service. So just like on its face, Logitech G Cloud, any immediate gut feelings on it? Green?
No, not off the top of my head. No, like no first impressions.
Nab, how about you? How do those specs sound to you?
I mean, the specs sound good, right? I'm happy it has the headphone jack. Oh man, if they had continued with this trend of not putting a jack in devices, I would be extremely frustrated, or some sort of specific type of headphone jack. But the specs, I don't ever console game too much, so ultimately, if it plays, right?
Yeah. Mendacii, how about you? Anything that this does for you at all?
I find it pretty interesting the fact that they are going with like a micro SD slot. I wonder if that means that we could actually just pump it full of fantastic emulators like PCSX, things like that. Wonder if this could just be a handheld emulator guy, like walk around with your PSP Vita Boy Ultra XL new.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, and I mean I have some thoughts on emulation devices that I think are definitely warranted in this conversation that we'll talk about here in a little bit. There's nothing
Yes.
here that strikes me as overly interesting. This one to me, just reading it, and then we'll compare it to the Razer here in a second. But it just doesn't sound very premium. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a device that's really worth getting. It feels like something almost that you'd get off of Alibaba.
Oh yeah.
But
The real like buy or pass is gonna be, all right, let me see the price tag, man. Because
Yeah.
this is, like you said, this is vanilla, this is base, this is literally white bread. Give me the condiments, the meat, the cheese. What else you got?
Yeah, and I didn't write it down in my notes. I don't know what the Logitech. Oh, it's going to be it's retailing for $300.
That's not bad, but like
$29.99.
I got one of these. This is fine. This is cool exclusives on this,
Yeah.
And you don't need a streaming service for that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way,
come on, man.
this is his Nintendo Switch. But okay, so let's talk
Oh
about
yeah,
the
that's
Razer.
right. Audio medium.
Let's talk about the Razer. Is it any sharper than what Logitech's offering? Go on ahead, Boomy. Do it.
Oh, fuck you, dude. I'm not even gonna boo you. I'm just gonna tell you, fuck you.
It's deserved though. That's
So,
bad.
According to Razer,
My brain hurts.
I just want to point out that entertainment is anything that makes you feel emotions, and if that emotion is cringe, I'm still technically providing entertainment. Anyways, according to Razer, this is going to be, quote, the world's first 5G mobile gaming handheld, and that's why they're also partnering with Verizon. The Edge 5G will come equipped with the Snapdragon.
Snapdragon out here.
Snapdragon G3X Gen 1 gaming platform, which I think is one of their top of the line processors. I don't know mobile processors at all. It'll feature a 6.65-inch OLED screen, 120 hertz, as well as a theoretical support, according to Ars Technica, for 4K, a built-in 1080p webcam, Snapdragon sound 4-way speaker, and is going to feature video out via USB-C. So you could, project that out to a TV or to a larger monitor if you wanted to. Razer has said that they're going to show off more at their RazerCon event this Saturday. So we'll get more information as that comes about. And I'm going to assume that this device will probably have access to all the other streaming services that the Logitech has. It's Xbox Cloud, GeForce Now, Stadia maybe while it exists. I would, hope that maybe it could still access like Luna and others. Yeah, like this one to me feels way more like top of the line and premium, which is what Razer is known for. Like Logitech is not known for that.
It's gonna have the premium price tag on it for sure.
Yeah,
Especially with it
dude.
being a 5G and going through Verizon. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Verizon's service. I have Verizon. I spend a lot of money every month on Verizon because I have 2 iPads, a smartwatch, and 4 phones on my plan.
Jeez,
Yeah, 4
boy, you
phones on my plan.
connected.
Yeah, so like I pay a
Damn,
lot,
dude.
and I can already tell that this is like, especially if it goes through the Verizon model of like you can pay like monthly to pay it off, essentially finance the equipment. I could see this thing going for like at least $800, if not more,
yeah,
because it is on a plan, a 5G plan.
yeah. And
what they're going to market it against is like the current price of a gaming graphics card, right, or a console. It's like this is the entire experience in that one thing, right? So it's going to be never a little bit like a little bit cheaper at best, but never cheaper than that.
Well, if you think about it too, like it's essentially with it being in the mobile market, we have to compare it to mobile phones, and like Samsung phones and Apple are going for over $1,000.
yeah.
So being on an actual a cellular line, they might try to price it to that, which would be very scary for something that's not actually going to be a phone.
Yeah, which someone had I think it was in the Ars Technica article that they had mentioned that like I think it was like the PS Vita, they had introduced SIM support through I think Verizon or AT&T, and it like
Yeah, dude, it was something.
yeah, and like so that was like the first real stab at something like that, but it people had kind of like some folks had tried to make a go of it as like a cell phone replacement. Like, why carry a cell phone and this if I can just carry this? And I don't think that worked out very well for them.
Probably not.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they price this to match top of the line cell phones. I also think Razer is probably looking at this more as a Steam Deck competitor than anything below that. Like, I don't think they're seeing this as a Switch competitor, and I don't think they're seeing this as even like a competitor with this new Logitech device. Even though they are functionally going to be the same thing, the Logitech just isn't going to have cellular support yet. I think Razer is looking at this as like, hey, Steam Deck and phones, that's our target audience. Like, why buy a Steam Deck when you can buy this? So yeah, and we'll know more about it for sure in terms of performance and like all the other features. And I don't even have an MSRP for the Razer Edge.
We'll know Saturday.
We'll know Saturday.
Yeah, it will be marked at a lot dollars and be possibly cooler than the Nokia N-Gage.
Because we had to compete with 2 names here. We had Razer, the markup for it being Razer, and the markup for it being Verizon. So
yeah,
it's a 2 for 1 right there.
So
yeah,
the conversation I want to have is and I'm curious how you guys think of these class of devices, right? These streaming focused handhelds. Will these will this new class of device be popular enough, and will they work consistently enough for someone to want to purchase them in the future? Or should people just stick to the main handhelds, the Switch, the Steam Deck, even like the retro handhelds that's a huge market of like Raspberry Pi and Android emulator devices that you can get. Yeah, like what do you guys think about this class of devices? Do they have longevity? Do you think they're going to survive, or do you think the other options are better? I also want to know from our audience. Let us know in the live stream chat what you guys think. If also let us know in the YouTube comments, and of course tweet at us at next to nothing PC. But Nab, I'm going to start with you. What do you think about this class of devices?
Uh, Ultimately, I don't know how long they'll be here to stay. Um, they're too big to fit in your pocket. Realistically, like, I'm looking at this picture. Like bringing one around is going to be kind of an issue. I don't know ultimately uh where this breaks in. I don't know. Maybe I'm old on that, but I don't see enough upside to it to where it's different than what's out there currently. It's not how I personally game, so it's hard for me to give an opinion on it as well.
How about you, Mendacii? What do you think?
So I'm probably going to be the odd man here. I've had a lot of handheld gaming systems, and obviously, like, I still have my Switch, and that still gets plenty of use. But going, from I don't think I skipped a single adaptation of Nintendo handheld. And like even went down like Game Gear, had a PS Vita, so on and so forth. So like as far as this goes, obviously the biggest thing is how easy is it to lug around. That's number one. If if it's either you're holding it like this everywhere you go, or you got to be ready to like look like you're going to a grill out. You got your Skechers on, you got your cargo shorts and your t-shirt, you got like your dad bod going, and you can stuff that guy like in the giant cargo pocket on your shorts. Sure, dude. Give me a sick wallet chain for it. But no, I think that the biggest drawback here is actually what they are playing at being their strongest, uh, I guess, give as far as that goes, their edge, if you will. 5G only works really well in metropolitan cities. And Nab, I don't know where you are exactly, but like where Danny and I are, there's cell phone towers, sure, but there's also a lot of corn and empty space and not a lot of people. And the way that cell phone towers work is you need a lot of people and you need more cell phone towers than what we've got. So I can't really see it being good for anyone that's outside of metropolitan cities, at least denser cities. So I can see this being not so good. I really don't think that they would be able to comp the cost of making these things versus how much they'll actually be able to sell. I think that when it does launch, the people that will have the money for the edge, that do buy it and are not in these larger cities with a good access to 5G networks, or even reliable 4G, I think we're going to see a lot of complaints coming out about it. I think with Logitech, it's going to be like, yeah, dude, I have a Logitech thing. It's cool. And then they will immediately start talking about all of the other random stuff that they were able to like load onto it. I think that's what it's going to be. The Logitech handheld guy is going to be the Amazon Fire Stick of handheld gaming. And then the Razer will just be like, this is really expensive and not necessarily reliable. It sounds counterintuitive, but I feel like they would be they would have more sales if they went PS Vita route and they had some that are Wi-Fi and then some that are Wi-Fi with uh, um, like the cell phone coverage, and really put that out there front and center, like, hey, yeah, this also has Wi-Fi, don't worry. You know what I mean? So I think that a lot of this is really going to depend on people that are in these larger places buying them and having a good time to outweigh the people that aren't and don't.
Yeah, the whole thing kind of falls apart if you don't have 5G, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It becomes a big brick in your giant cargo shorts, in your jorts, if you will.
Green, how about you? What do you think of this class of devices?
I think this class of device could, and you're gonna hear it first. This could potentially be the main way to play games in 20 to 30 years. If, if, and that's a big if. There's a lot of factors that come into play. One of the main ones, the biggest one, if you will, is like the infrastructure when it comes to the internet.
Mhm.
So like if like we get rid of this whole non-competitor competitive like internet infrastructure program that we have right now with like the bare minimum in the US, right? Like, oh, we offer 1 gig now of coaxial, right? Uh and actually get with the program like South Korea, who has like fiber everywhere, right? So like the Wi-Fi is actually good. Then cloud gaming could in fact be like the king in 20 to 30 years.
I
But
agree
for
with that,
now,
actually.
yeah, for now it's just not. So I would like to see um them more geared, like especially right now, to like actually physically playing the game on that piece of hardware. You know, I'm not huge into cloud gaming right now, especially as I said with how the internet is and latency and all the fancy words. But yeah, for right now, no, it's not great.
Yeah.
It's sorry. It's like a huge thing though, right? Like investing in that kind of thing. Google Stadia just canceled like their biggest one.
Uh,
You don't want to get stuck with something that's not going to be supported in the future either, right?
we talked about it last week about Stadia, and I think the biggest thing is Google doesn't or is notorious for canning stuff that's not working out right now. So like as long as like Amazon sticks to their gun with Luna and GeForce now holds out, I can see this becoming an actual thing. A lot more like companies are trying to get into the whole cloud gaming, like especially with Xbox in the ring. So I really think it could be like the way people game in 20 years.
Yeah. It just we're such in that like adopters phase right now. Like the device makes sense. Mobile wise, I don't know if that's necessarily something that like anyone's really calling for because phones can access most of the streaming services and really and there's rumors, I mean, just with Phil Spencer's tribute to Bethesda's 25-year anniversary, there's a lot of people talking about oh, look, it might be like a prototype or a tease of the next Xbox device, which is rumored to be a streaming thing. Like that's been a thing that's been hitting the rounds the last couple days. So I think really like the home market is the better option. I would be more willing to buy like an Xbox, uh, like cloud gaming device, to like put in the living room because I already have like my PC. So why should I, maybe why should I buy like a whole other console or something like that when maybe I just want to access the games I can on GeForce Now or on Xbox with my with my little Xbox device. Um, so I'm not even sure if like the mobile cloud gaming devices will be all that great over the next couple years, but it's interesting to see the class of device start with two very different options. Um, and I'm very curious to see how it's going to compete with like the emulated handheld devices that are becoming increasingly popular for very cheap. Like you can get a lot of those emulation devices for less than $50. So, anything else on this topic?
No, other than I did think that it was funny that people had spotted a Nintendo Switch emulator on the Steam Deck's kind of like promo art for like its like dashboard. Someone's like, hey, isn't that the thing for the Switch games? And they're like, no, and they immediately deleted it and then replaced the image with Portal 2. Yeah. So these things do go hand in hand with emulators as well. So I mean, like, it is kind of cool that we do have something that could potentially be like mobile and you know, like a place where games could go to like not be forgotten, you know, despite, you know, however you may feel about emulation or not. But there are some cool uses. I don't think that we're going to see exclusives by any means, but it'll be a different way to play games. That's about it, man.
Yeah. Do we want to wrap up the show then?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm hungry.
Hungry.
Well, thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, Nab, for the folks out there who have maybe missed the top of the show or have not met you yet, who are you? What do you do? And where can people find you?
Hey, so I currently am streaming Stalker Anomaly streamer. You can find me over at Twitch, Twitch TV /Nab _Mctackle. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Green, what's coming up on your channel?
Mainly gonna be playing Hunt Showdown. Because I am a hoe for the hoedown. But yeah, you can catch me at twitch.tv /Mr. Green Elite. Also on Twitter, Instagram, all the fancy TikToks and stuff like that. All these new computer social media jargons. All at Mr. Green Elite.
Mendacii.
Heyo. Yeah, so me and a couple friends were lucky enough to get into the Dark Tide beta, and that is happening this weekend. And people who did get beta keys, we do have the go ahead. If I remember right, I'm gonna have to double check, but I believe we can stream it and we can talk about it. So I haven't streamed in a while because I've been a full-time student, but I'm gonna make some time. I'm gonna do some homework ahead of time, and we're gonna stream Dark Tide. So if you're curious at all about gameplay, how it may run on your system, or like, you know, just what general flow looks like, you can check that out on my Twitch channel this weekend. That's twitch.tv /Mendacii, MENDACII. Otherwise, I've got a double header that I'm going to be doing commentary for my university's esports team. You can check that out on Twitch at Upper Iowa Esports. So that's 2 Rocket League tournament games in the collegiate level. So if you're curious about that, check that out. Otherwise, everything that I do is always on my Twitter, which is at @onlymendacii.
Hell yeah. I'm actually not doing anything pretty much for the rest of this week. I will start back up next week. My fiance is in town and I am spending quality time with her. Damn it.
Good stuff, man. Good for you.
Yeah, before she
Totally real fiance.
totally real fiance. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, I am spending quality time with her before she heads back to her contract. So yeah, that's what I've got going on. You guys can hang out with me on Twitter though. See all the dumb shit I get into on Twitter. This week was a fucking hell fucking scape. Anyways, find me on Twitter at DannyK, DANIECAE. And follow the podcast on Twitter too. Greenlee, hit him with that.
Next to nothing PC at next to nothing PC at next to nothing PC.
Gotta get
PC.
threes. Yeah. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up the show this week. Thanks for watching and listening. Your time with us is always appreciated, but we're not just interested in your time and your attention. Okay? We're not selfish like that.
We want your money.
We want you. That's right. We want your no. We want your thoughts and opinions on basically everything that we talked about this week, including our question of the week, which is, what cheating prevention measures should be put in place for free-to-play games if a phone number is not okay? Go ahead and answer that in the YouTube comments, or again, tweet at us. If you like what we do, make sure that you drop a comment or hit like on Facebook or share. Share is appreciated as well as retweets. And if you missed us during any part of the live show, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and ever podcasts are found. If you're joining us on those platforms, join us live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on Next to Nothing Network on Twitch. And otherwise, until next week, stay safe, stay healthy, keep fighting the good fights, and we'll talk to you guys again next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I love you.
Later.